Okay guys, welcome. So today I'm going to go through the skate rig. I had a few of my friends ask me what I would use for targeting skate, so I'm going to go through the rig that I would use. I've got all the setup ready to rock and roll for it. It's something that I'm going to start putting some time over to the next 12 months. And yeah, see how we go. I've been lucky enough to have a few friends what's been up there before and been put on different marks and stuff. So these are the rigs that I'm going to use. Now, I know a friend of mine, Luke Johns, uses exactly the same rig. Having said that, this rig setup, my release setup, is slightly different from what they've used. I've sort of created my own idea with it, really. So, guys, this is what I would use. So I've got a 10-foot pulley rig, okay, nice and long. You could use bigger if you can cast it, but I've gone for 10 foot. Okay, so on the bottom end, I've got an imp, as you can see there. I've got 2 rubber beads and a bigger bead. On top of that, then I've got a 450 pound crane swivel. So I've got the rig body is as long as you like, 10 foot. And then I've got a big bead and a rubber bead at the other end just to protect the knot. Then I've got another 450 pound crane swivel. Then going on to my trace line now, guys. So rig body, I tend to go a bit bigger. So I've got 250 pound Trilene big game, which I know a lot of the boys use for like Forteventura and stuff. Then as a trace line, I've got 150. Why have I got two different, may you ask? I personally find when using a pulley rig, if you're using the same rig, sometimes it's not, it like lays upon itself, where I like to use a lighter trace no matter what I'm doing with the pulley rig, just to allow a bit of movement. And then what I find is it lays better when the rig's set out, and that's why I use. So I've got 150 pound Rovex there, 10 times extra heavy duty. Okay, so this is where it gets a bit different now, guys. So a lot of guys, you always use these O'Shaughnessy hooks. Some people use them single, some people use them as a pennant. I've got 2 O'Shaughnessy hooks here. Having said that, I've got someone coming on the way, but I've got 10-0 octopus hooks from Sakuma, which I would use as my top hook. Then my bottom hook, I'd keep the O'Shaughnessy. As you can see, in between both hooks, I've got 2 rubber beads. So if it does take the top hook and it comes down, it will cushion the knot, and that's most important. Then the main thing is this bit here. Okay, so I've got some shrink tubing with some 80-pound wire, no, 40-pound wire, sorry. And then the wire comes all the way down and it gets attached to that oval ring there. What is that oval ring, may you ask? Now, some of you will know, when I come back from Forteventura, from Tenerife, from Mallorca, I come up with a design for casting big baits. And this is where it fits in now. So that will sit down in behind the lead onto the clip itself there. When it clips off, it will come on, release away from the imp and allow it to be, enables me to fish big hooks, because that hook won't clip into that imp. Okay, but that will allow it. The shrink tubing just to tidy it up a little bit. And basically that's my rig, guys. So I'd always fish this with a rotten bottom. So I've got the Gemini rotten bottom clips there. I would tie that onto the bottom. Okay, I've got a bit of line there for I've used this one before, so I'm going to take that off. Then I've got line. Now, you don't want nothing light what's just going to break straight away. I would recommend going for probably around 25, but what I would do with it is make sure that you put a few knots in this. This is 20-pound line, what I've got here at the moment, but for the sake of this video, I'm just going to show you. So what I tend to do, you're going to most likely be using heavy braid or heavy mono. And when I say heavy mono, 30-pound plus on your multipliers and stuff like that. And then if you're using a fixed spool, you have probably 80 to 100-pound braid. Now, what I do here is this. I'll stick that through like that, like so. Okay, and then what I do is this, and trim that off, right? And then I'm left with things. So I'm going to cut that off a little bit there, and I'm going to tie my first knot right up the top of the line. I'm going to use my thumb to position, the finger of my thumb to position the knot. So I've tied 3 knots in there now. Okay, then I've got my lead. So this is where the bit starts. So most of the time when you're fishing up that way, you're going to be fishing very strong tides and stuff like that. So, and you're using a big lead, so you want to be able to hold bottom. So this here is a 7-ounce lead. I've got 8 ounces there, and I've also ordered some 9s and 10s. And the thing is, a 9 and 10 ounce lead is very heavy to cast on most rods. Having said that, people do it. And there are certain rods out there, without going into brands and stuff, that will handle casting that. But when you start putting massive baits, and I'm talking about octopus baits, double mackerel baits, huge mackerel baits and stuff like that, targeting skate, you can have the tendency to have the bait sometimes bigger than the lead. So with that, you've got to take this into consideration. The bait can't be heavier than the lead. That's why I've gone for 10 ounces. I've got some 10-ounce leads in that, and certain rods will cast 10-ounce leads with ease. But at the end of the day, guys, by the time you've got a bait, that can't be you want a couple of ounces as bait, really, don't you? I mean, you don't want a mass. I mean, you don't want to be casting a 2-pound bait out there. What puts like 2 pound of weight trying to cast. There will be certain rods that can achievably do it, but at the same time, there's a lot of wear and tear on your rod. So the 8/0s, if you imagine that's a 7 at the moment, this is me doing an 8. So what I would tend to do, these have got to be done properly. So what I've got is SKMs. I get them from Seacast Lead, and they're very, very strong wires. So I basically, when the black plastic comes up like that, I'll put my thumb and I'll bring that down like so, and I'll do that on all 4 of the grips. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I've got that. What I'll do then is turn them inside out, okay, and then basically tull them back along itself and then push them into place so they lock in, so they're tight, okay. And I'll do that again now. So lots of pressure on them, bring them back in, and they're locked into position. Some people would turn them over again. You can do. I find that this is enough more than anything, because you want them to release. Then what I do is turn the ends up like so, okay. You want to make sure that these, when you're casting these leads, guys, that the grippers are done perfectly. I mean, there are certain individual anglers what use these, but put extra long grips in, what they come out like that, okay. I know a friend of mine that has done, and I'm probably going to ask for my ones, a few of my ones, to be done with them, because the extra large leads, then they'll hook in properly. I've got to have a word with Mike at Seacast and ask him to do a few for me, and that way you've got a lot more, fixture going in when my bait's set up and stuff. So imagine that there, they would be a lot bigger, and they'll hook in better. But that's the gist of that. So what I'm looking at then is my rotten bottom. So my rotten bottom will go onto that, tied up. Then I'll just tie it on like so. I was just saying, guys, 25-pound main line is a very strong, but when you've got the knots in it, it just weakens it up slightly. And as long as you've got heavier line, that will go first, okay? That will go first. But you need to make sure that it's got knots in it, you know what I mean? It's a weak point then. And then what I tend to do there then is bring them down like that with a loop. I'll position my rotten bottom in like so. So my rotten bottom's there. When I cast it, I'll make sure it's further up. And that, guys, is basically my rig. So I'm going to struggle to keep it up there now. But what I'm going to do is get the long trace line. I'm going to hook him up there. See, my leg's already come out now. So I'll get this up here, just redo that. You want it to. You want to, if that's going to the floor and clip in, you know that's working. And you want to make sure that's working. At the end of the day, guys, if you get your lead snagged up when you're fishing for skate, you're not going to have a skate left there, okay? And then basically that will go in there like that, and that will hold behind the lead like so. See that there? And basically as that clips like that, away it goes. And that leaves a free-flowing bait on the deep, murky, dark depths of the Scottish waters, hopefully ready for you to pick up a skate. Personally, I'd have all that hook showing. I'd have my bait that side of it, okay? And that there, anybody that was worried about that, trust me, it doesn't get in the way. When I was over Norway, I fished big double sardine bait every single cast on one rod, targeting monster fish. And I never had nothing fantastic on there, which I would call a monster, but I had some half-tidy fish. I had halibut on there, I had some nice cod on there, I had some nice pollock on there, what else? And I had a ling as well, and they were massive baits, guys. I'm talking baits like probably that, you know what I mean? Huge baits, and they cast out every time and unclipped as they hit every time, and enabled me to fish big baits and big hooks using the Imp. So that is my skate rig, guys. It's pretty much easy to do. As I said, the only bits you really need for it is you need 400-pound crane swivels. You need the Sakuma Oceanic hooks. You need to get some oval clips, which are on the link, which you can get on eBay. Just go on oval clips on eBay. I've got the 20mm, the 15 and the 10mm. All of them work with the Imp. Personally, if I was fishing for skate, I would go for the 15mm. That's a 20mm, it's a bit slightly big, but it works fine. You're going to need some Rovex 150. You can get the big game if you want to, which is £250. You're going to need some imps or splashdown clips, either whatever you choose. You're going to need some rubber beads and some big beads, and then basically, guys, that is pretty much it. I would go for the octopus hook as a top 10-hour hook from Sakuma, and then all you need, some octopus, mackerel, some large fish baits, to lots of fuel in the tank depending where you're traveling from, some food, and I have been asked and told that midgie sprays and masks or whatever can make you be the difference of being able to pit up with the midgies at times. Apparently they do get quite savage. Yeah, that's a basic straightforward skate rig, which you can use. At the end of the day, guys, you smallen everything down there, and it's exactly the same as you would target rays, except from obviously when you're targeting skate, they're monstrous sizes, and we've overgunned everything for that. But hope you enjoyed the episode. Tight lines, get out there and try it, and let us know how you get on.